Hello. I want to address the horse carriage debate in Manhattan in Central Park. It's a tragedy that that boy had to die, but it was a tragedy. It was an accident. It was whether or not it was avoidable, that's debatable. It wasn't the driver's fault. It could have been a horsefly that bit the horse in the ass and set it off on its tear. There's, there's no way of determining what spooked the horse. Could have been a car, could have been something, anything. You have no idea what it is. And I believe this boy was the first to ever die from a horse carriage. So it's not like this is a systemic thing that's going on and on. Yes, last week or a week before, a horse died from eating a poisonous plant. Now again, that's an accident. It's not a federal case. It's not a reason to end the horse carriages in the city. And the big problem is it's Central Park. So when something happens to one of those horses, it becomes Channel 5's 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock news. And not for one night, but for weeks. So they drum the drum of shutting it down, and the animal activists all want this to stop. And I used to own a horse when I was a child. I owned it for many years. So I love horses, and I'm not going to debate whether I love horses or not. But I want to say that if you end those carriage rides, you end that horse business, you kill all of those horses. You are killing them all. And anyone that was going to follow in its footsteps. Because those horses, because they make that money, they survive. And those drivers and those companies that run those carriages survive because of those horses. And if you take that away from them, they're going to send those horses to the dog meat factory, and they're going to turn into dog meat and glue. You know. Now, I know that they don't talk about it much, but those horses go upstate. They go onto farms. They get a break from pulling the carriages. They get to act like a real horse. I don't know what the time span is. Maybe it's different for each horse. And when they retire, they go to a farm. When they can't do it anymore, they go to a farm upstate. They don't go to the dog food farm. And this is because of the business and the money they generate by doing their job at Central Park. Now, if you close down Central Park horse carriages, you close down the farm upstate, you close down everything. And, you know, you're basically killing every horse that's out there by ending it. You're not sending them to the farm. Who's going to send them to the farm? There's no money to send them to a farm. These aren't horses that you can sell to your 10-year-old daughter or a pony. It's not a pony. Um, it doesn't work for pony rides, and they aren't rideable. They're carriage horses, and that's all they do. And if there's no carriage for them to pull, then they're Alpo. And you know you have to look at it this way too. That, like I said, if something happens to these horses, it becomes front page news, 5 o'clock news, all day, every day. So those horses are well taken care of. They are well taken care of. They see vets. They are seen by vets all the time. Look, their house in the city, it's not luxurious. it's, but they're not in it very long. They're only in it at night. In the morning, they come out and they go back to the park. They spend their day at Central Park, and they're inspected by millions of New Yorkers every day. So they're not abused. Uh, they're not working hurt or lame. You know, uh, they're well taken care of. They supply the money and the income for the driver, and that driver lives off that horse. Don't you think he's going to take care of that horse and make sure it's not lame, make sure it gets his medication, its vet checks, and everything else that it needs to continue to make money? So the upkeep and the desire keeps the horse healthy. and safe. Now, yes, they have accidents. Of course, they have accidents. They're animals, they're not machines. Even machines have accidents. But we don't talk about banning cars from Manhattan because of car accidents. So it's the same idea. When you ban these horses, you kill them. And you don't just kill those horses, you kill the horses that are coming to take their place. You kill the horses because people and kids that go to Manhattan and go to Central Park and see those horses are an ambassador to other horses. Like the zoo is an ambassador to animals throughout the world. When you go to the Bronx Zoo and you see a panda, you want to save the panda in China because you fell in love with the panda in the Bronx Zoo. I'm not saying the Bronx Zoo has pandas. I don't know if they do. But you know what I'm trying to say. They're an ambassador. They're an ambassador to their species. Just like I think it was wrong to shut down the animals at the circus. Those elephants were ambassadors to elephants throughout the world. And people that fell in love with the elephants at the circus would protect and fight for the survival of the wild elephants in India and Africa. So, it's just you're cutting off your nose to spite your face. And I don't believe it's a good practice. And I think shutting down these carriages is killing them. And you have to understand that when you vote to shut down those carriages, you're voting to kill those horses. And it's just that blatant and it's just that true. And there is no way to avoid it. Nobody's going to, they don't have the money to put them on a farm and let them live out their days and eat grass. It's not going to happen. You know, when you kill that business, whatever farm they were going to put them on, they now have to sell because the money they were using to pay the taxes and keep the upkeep of the farm is gone. So now they have to sell that farm and maybe turn it into a data center. So please be rational, not irrational like the animal activists are. The animal activists are irrational. They want the horse to be wild, but we send it to Wyoming and set it free. Well, you can't do that. You need to be rational. So look, when they come knocking, send them home because they're not doing anybody good. They're not helping those horses. They're only helping themselves get money for their cause.